it has proven to be a difficult task challenging the lockdown regulations, as has been seen by many other people who have brought applications. In relation to our particular application, feel that the threshold, or rather the test that government had to meet in as far as rationality is concerned, is too low. And this is, of course, one of the grounds of appeal which we relied upon. And as we speak now, it's a ground that we're going to be pushing forward to the Supreme Court of Appeal as we petition that particular court to hear our appeal of the initial ruling which dismissed our application.
And when your initial bid to challenge this ban on the sale of tobacco was indeed dismissed by the same court, you were quite confident that you'd be able to get this appeal and then eventually push forward with the matter. What has the court told you about this latest denial?
Look, the grounds on which they dismissed our application for leave to appeal are very similar to the ones which were raised in the initial judgment. You will recall that this was, of course, before the same bench that heard the initial application. So there was not much deviation, and they, in essence, maintained their initial position. We, likewise, maintain our position, and we feel that our application has strong merit. It's supported by science. It's supported by many other factors, and we are confident that ultimately we will be successful in overturning this ban. I mean, when we initiated this process, we were very mindful that either way, a matter of this nature would go all the way, potentially to the apex court, which is the Constitutional Court.
You're now headed to the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. How soon do you expect to send through your paperwork?
Look, we will be finalizing our papers during the course of the coming week, and thereafter submitting them with the Supreme Court of Appeal. We are not too certain, given the circumstances currently, as to how soon we will be heard by that particular court, but as soon as we do have knowledge of that, we will inform the public.
What you're trying to do basically is get government, just to recap for those who may have missed the story for whatever reason, you're trying to get the ban on the sale of tobacco lifted because you say it is strangling companies in your industry, jobs are at risk, and that there's no direct link or evidence that people who smoke are at greater risk of bearing the worst of COVID-19, right? So that is your issue. If not the lifting of that ban on the sale of tobacco, what could government possibly do for you as Fita at this point to make things easier for you as far as the businesses that you speak for?
Look, your guess is as good as mine, because we all know that government, the government which calls itself a listening government, has not engaged the tobacco industry. So, in as far as our industry is concerned, we still don't know who they are listening to. So, you know, I don't think we can even have that discussion in as far as what government can do for us, because we have attempted to engage them on a number of occasions, particularly prior to us instituting the court proceedings. It is clear that, in as far as that is concerned, they are not prepared to engage our industry. And in fact, I mean, there was an even greater area of concern when a fact sheet popped up during the course of this week, which stated that government's position seems to be that the ban on the sale of alcohol and cigarettes will continue for the duration of the lockdown period. So at this point, there doesn't seem to be much in terms of any form of engagement between government and our industry.
Is this a case that you would take all the way to the Constitutional Court?
That is indeed the case. We as an organization are, given our background and, you know, in the roots of our formation, have always been an organization that seeks to fight many causes in as far as regulation of the tobacco industry. And we've always been known to be, you know, the underdog. And I mean, the name of our organization says it all, really, in that we are the Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association. So, no, giving up at this point is not something that we are even considering.
And Senenhlanhla, I mean, you as Fita and government have all stated your positions and you've pretty much stuck to them since March. Do you think outside of a court process there's any window, any slight window that's open for out-of-talk discussions about ways in which you can perhaps reach a compromise?
Look, the ball is in government's court in that regard. As I stated earlier on, we did attempt on a number of occasions to engage with government, writing letters, engaging through the various legal representatives, or at least attempting to engage. But there doesn't seem to be any or rather keenness from government to want to engage the industry as a whole. So we do not know what the reason for that is, particularly when you take into consideration the number of jobs created by this industry the figures in as far as what the industry contributes to the fiscus. And yet government seeks to continue to marginalize this industry, despite the statements by President Cyril Ramaphosa about them being a consultative government and a listening government. So again, as I stated earlier on, we do not know who exactly they are listening to in as far as the tobacco ban.